Hello. Welcome to Hiromi Voice in English. Thank you so much for backing to my channel. Today, I am going to talk about the difference between a shrine and a temple in Japan. When you travel around Japan, you will see many shrines and temples. Have you? Some have long walls and bright red gates. Some have large Buddhist statues. Others have beautiful gardens, old wooden buildings, or peaceful paths surrounded by trees. They all feel very Japanese, but do you know the difference between a shrine and a temple? Actually, I think many Japanese people have trouble explaining it clearly too. Of course, we know that shrines and temples are different places. But if someone asks us, what exactly is the difference? Do you pray in the same way? Do Japanese people visit a shrine or a temple for New Year? Some of us might suddenly become a little unsure. So today, I would like to explain the difference between shrines and temples in a simple and practical way. I hope this video helps you better understand an important part of Japanese culture, whether you're planning a trip to Japan or simply curious about the country. Alright, let's begin. Let's begin the most basic difference. A shrine is connected to Shinto. Shinto is Japan's indigenous religious tradition. A temple is connected to Buddhism. At Shinto shrines, Japanese gods called kami-sama, are enshrined. There is not just one kami in Shinto. There are kami-sama connected to the sun, mountains, oceans, rivers, wind, trees, and many other parts of nature. There are also kami associated with certain places or aspects of life, such as learning, business, safe childbirth, relationships, or good health. In some cases, historical figures are also worshipped as kami. In Japan, people have traditionally believed that secret spirits can exist throughout nature and the world around us. This idea is sometimes expressed through the phrase 八百万の神 八百万の神様. It literally looks like it means 8 million gods, but it does not refer to an exact number. It means that there are countless kami everywhere. Temples, on the other hand, are places connected to Buddhist teachings. Different temples may enshrine different Buddhist figures such as Amida Nyorai, Yakushi Nyorai, Kannon-sama, Fudo-myo-o. They may also belong to different schools of Buddhism and follow different teachings and traditions. So, in very simple terms, at a shrine pay their respects to Shinto kami-sama. At a temple, people pray before Buddhist figures and connect with Buddhist teachings. That is the most fundamental difference. Shrines are Shinto, temples are Buddhist. When you are traveling in Japan, how can you tell whether the place in front of you is a shrine or a temple? The easiest clue is usually the entrance. Look at the entrances. The most recognizable symbol of a Shinto shrine is the torii gate. We call it torii. A torii usually has two vertical pillars with horizontal beams across the top. Many famous torii gates are painted red, but not all of them are. Some are made of plain wood, stone, or even metal. A torii marks the boundary between the ordinary world and the secret place of the kami. The thousands of red torii gates at Fushimi Inari Taisha in Kyoto are probably one of the most famous examples. When people see those gates, they immediately think of Japan, right? However, remember that not every torii is red. The shape of the gate is more important than the color. What about a temple? A Buddhist temple often has a large entrance gate with a roof. This kind of gate may be called sammon. It marks the boundary between the ordinary world with its worldly desires and distractions, and the peaceful, purified space of the temple grounds, which is the same, right, to our shrines. Some temple gates look almost like buildings themselves. You may also see two powerful and slightly frightening statues standing on either side of the entrance. They are called Nyozo, Neo guardians. They are believed to protect the temple. The Kaminarimon Gate at Sensoji in Tokyo and the large gate at Todaiji in Nara are famous examples. So, as a basic travel tip, if you see a torii, it is probably a shrine. If you see a large roofed gate, Buddhist statues, or Nyozo, it is probably a temple. However, this method is not always perfect. For many centuries, Shinto and Buddhism were deeply connected in Japan. Because of this, you may sometimes find a small shrine inside a temple complex, or a temple building near a shrine. They are very close, so even Japanese people can occasionally become confused. There are some other clues that can help you identify a shrine or a temple. At a shrine, you may see a secret rope called shimenawa. It often has white, zigzag sharp-shaped paper decorations hanging from it. A shimenawa shows that a place or object is considered sacred. You may also see a pair of animal-like guardian statues near the entrance. These are called komain. They often look like a mixture of dogs and lions. At inari shrines, you may see fox statues instead. Yes, fox. Foxes are generally understood to be messengers of the inari god rather than the god itself. At a temple, you are more likely to see Buddhist statues and places where people burn incense. Inside the main hall, there may be Buddhist images, paintings, decorations, or beautiful carvings. Japanese ceremonies are also often located inside or near Buddhist temple grounds. However, you may not always be able to see the main sacred object. Some Buddhist statues are hidden from public view and only displayed on special occasions. At Shinto shrines, a sacred object in which the kami-sama is believed to reside is also usually kept in a place that visitors cannot see. So, unlike some places of worship in other countries, you may not see a clear image or statue of the god directly in front of you. The name of the place may also give you a clue. Shrine names often include words such as jinja, meaning shrine, or Jingu, Taisha, meaning grand shrine, or Hachimangu. For example, Meiji Jingu, Izumo Taisha, Fushimi Inari Taisha, and Tsurugashima Hachimangu. These are all Shinto shrines. Temple names often include the character for temple, which may be pronounced ji, tera, dera, depending on the name. For example, Sensoji, Tezuji, Kiyomizu-dera, Tezu-dera, Todaiji. Temple names may also end in "im", meaning an institution or hall associated with Buddhism. For example, Byodo-in. If you are learning Japanese, looking at the end of a place name can help you guess whether it is a shrine or a temple. The word Jingu is usually used for shrines with a particularly close connection to the imperial family or an emperor. I didn't know that. Shrines and temples have different prayer customs, but they also have some similarities. One of them is offering called osaisen. Osaisen is money that people offer when visiting a shrine or temple. It is usually placed into a wooden box called a osaisen bako, or offering box before praying. You will often see one in front of the main worship area. People offer osaisen to express gratitude, respect, or a personal wish to the kami-sama or Buddhist figure. However, it is not a fee that you pay in exchange for having your wish granted. There is no official amount that you are required to give. Many people use coins that they already have with them, such as 5 yen, 10 yen, 100 yen. The 5 yen coin is especially popular, I think, because in Japan, the word for 5 yen, 5 yen, sounds the same as 5 yen, which means a connection, relationship, or a good fortune in meeting people. We call it 5yen。ご縁がある。私には縁がある。私とあなたは縁がある。ご縁 is a good word. Because of this word play, some people feel that a ご縁 coin may bring good connections. But you don't have to use a 5円 coin. You also do not receive more blessings simply because you offer more money. The important thing is the feeling of respect for gratitude or gratitude behind the offering. People often say that they throw a coin into the box, and some people do toss it from a short distance. However, it is more respectful to place or gently toss it into the box rather than throwing it forcefully. Both shrines and temples may have offering boxes. The biggest difference comes after you offer the money. The way you pray is different. When entering a shrine, many people stop in front of the torii and give a small bow. Is it right pronunciation? Bow before walking through. The path leading through the shrine ground is called sando. Traditionally, the center of the path, the center of sando, is considered the route used by the kami-sama. So some people walk slightly to the side. However, you don't need to worry too much, especially when the shrine is crowded. The most important thing is to behave respectfully. Before approaching the main shrine building, you may see a purification fountain called Temizuya. Visitors use the water to cleanse their hands and their mouth before praying. This is not simply about washing away physical dirt. It represents purifying yourself before entering a sacred space and place. After that, you approach the main worship area. You gently place your offering into the offering box. If there is a bell, you may ring it. Maybe once, twice, or 3 times. The most common prayer style at a shrine is called 2 bows, 2 claps, and 1 final bow. In Japanese, this is called 2礼、2拍手、1礼。2礼、 2拍手。1礼。First, bow deeply 2 times. Then, clap your hands 2 times. After that, bring your hands together and quietly offer your prayer or gratitude. After that, bow 1 time more. Bow 1 more time. And finished. However, some shrines have different customs. I didn't know that though. For example, a small number of shrines use 4 claps instead of 2. Wow. If there are instructions at the shrine, follow the local custom. So what about temple? When entering a Buddhist temple, some people also give a small bow at the same gate. If there is a purification fountain, you may cleanse your hands and mouth in a similar way. So you never forget your handkerchief, right? Many temples also have a large incense burner. Visitors may offer incense and gently move some of the smoke toward themselves, like this. Yeah, it's interesting, right? But they do that. I do this. Some people believe the smoke may help purify them or bring healing to parts of your body. At the main hall, you can place an offering into the offering box and quietly bring your hands together. No clap. The main difference from a shrine is that you normally do not clap. No, just do this. At shrine, you usually clap twice, right? At the temple, you quietly place your palms together like this. And this gesture is called gassho. Gassho. And depending on the temple and the Buddhist school, the precise customs may vary. But if you are not sure what to do, simply stand quietly, put your hands together, and show respect. Close your eyes. That is usually enough. Some travelers become nervous because they are afraid of making a mistake, because there is a sacred place. But you don't have to nervous too much. You don't have to do or perform perfectly. What matter most is attitude, your attitude. Speak quietly. Do not enter restricted areas, and check whether photography is permitted. And respect the people who are there to pray. This is where things become especially interesting. Japanese people do not always separate shrines and temples very strictly in everyday life. That's why they would have some troubles of explaining about the difference between shrines and temples. For example, many people make their first religious visit of the year during the New Year period. This is called Hatsumode. Do you remember this word? We learned in the Japanese class. Hatsumode. Some people believe that Hatsumode must be done at a shrine, but some people visit both shrines and temples for Hatsumode. Some visit a local shrine, others visit famous Buddhist temples such as Sensoji or Narita-san. Events connected to children are often held at the shrine. For example, families may visit the shrine for Omiya Maeri, a baby's first shrine visit. Many families also visit shrine for Shichigo-san, a traditional celebration for children at the ages of 3, 5, and 7. Some couples hold traditional Shinto wedding ceremonies at shrines. On the other hand, funerals, memorial services, and visiting family graves are often connected to Buddhist temples and Buddhist priests. On the other hand, funerals, memorial services, and visiting family graves are often connected to Buddhist temples. However, they are only general tendencies. Not every Japanese person follows the same customs. Some couples marry in a church-style wedding ceremony, even if they are not Christian. Others have weddings in hotels or wedding venues without a strong religious element. There are also funerals that are not based on Buddhist traditions. It depends on the family, their religion, the region, and the individual. Many Japanese people say that they do not strongly follow a particular religion, but they may still visit a shrine or a temple at New Year. They may visit family graves during Obon. They may carry an omamori charm. They may also enjoy Christmas. From the outside, this may seem contradictory, right? Do you think so? I think so. You might wonder, how can people follow all of these different traditions? But for many Japanese people, these activities are not about choosing only one religious identity. They are connected to family, local communities, seasonal customs, and important stages of life. Visiting a shrine does not mean rejecting Buddhism. Visiting a temple does not mean rejecting Shinto. Both can exist naturally in the same person's life. Why do Shinto and Buddhism coexist so naturally in Japan? For much of Japanese history, they were not completely separate. The historical combination of Shinto and Buddhism is called Shinbutsu Shugo. Buddhism was introduced to Japan around the 6th to 10th century. Japan already has its own traditions of worshipping kami-sama. Instead of one tradition completely replacing the other, the two gradually became connected. The relationship between them changed over time. In some periods, people believed that Japanese kami were local forms in which Buddhist figures appeared. In other cases, kami were believed to protect Buddhist teachings. Shrines were built inside temple grounds. Temples were built near shrines. Buddhist priests sometimes took part in ritual connected to kami. For many centuries, Shinto and Buddhism existed together in complicated but natural ways. Then, in 1868, the Meiji government introduced a policy that formally separated Shinto and Buddhism. This is known as Shinbutsu Bunri. Shugo means connect, Bunri is separate. On the separation of Kami and the Buddhas. As a result, shrines and temples became more clearly separated as institutions. However, Shinto and Buddhism had already been connected for more than 1,000 years. Their influence on each other could not simply disappear. We can still see that history in modern Japanese culture today. So, when people try to explain the difference between shrines and temples, it can become surprisingly complicated. The basic answer is simple. Shrines are Shinto. Temples are Buddhist. But historically, they have not always existed as two completely separate worlds. This may be one reason why Japanese people sometimes have difficulty explaining the difference clearly. It is not necessarily because they have never learned about it. The history itself is complex. So how was it? Did you already know the difference between a shrine and a temple? Can you say that? You got it? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm just curious, are there sacred places in your country that look similar but are actually different, just like a shrine and a temple? Please let me know in the comments. Alright, on this channel, I will bring you a relaxing time with learning Japanese culture, language, and everyday life. If it sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching at the end. I hope we will see in the next video again. お疲れ様でした。See you. おやすみなさい。Let's begin with the most basic difference. Let's begin. こんな日に限ってサムネを撮りましょう。とりあえず撮影します。Actually, I think many Japanese people would have trouble explaining. But if someone asks you or asks us, what exactly? 違うか。みんなじゃないね。Let's begin with the most basic most. If there is a purify, what exactly is the difference? Please subscribe to this channel.